For the past decade, I've watched hedge fund managers tighten their ties and straighten their suits. They've acted like their underperformance of the S&P 500 wasn't a real thing, when in fact, it most certainly was. Well, I'm not an expert in finance, but I know enough to understand that these risk-free rates certainly aren't free and open. I know the cost of capital is completely manipulated, and I know only a damn fool would still be trying to own bonds after the yields have gone down for nearly 40 years straight. So, while Wall Street continues to pick up all these pennies in front of a steamroller, I'll just keep buying more Bitcoin. Michael Saylor, Jack Dorsey, Paul Tudor Jones. You don't have shit on me.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an excellent day today. It is finally about to be the weekend. My goodness, what a crazy week that we have had for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. We finally did have the options expiry, so we can put that behind us. We can get that out of the way. Finally, you can see Bitcoin actually is trying to have a bit of a rebound right here, right? We did have this nice bounce off the 50 moving average, so I want to talk about whether or not this actually was the bottom. We actually do have some hints right now that could be suggesting Bitcoin did in fact bottom. We also have some historical data that suggests Bitcoin is rallying up for a major move to the upside. And I also want to give you some of those exact targets for anybody out there that is looking to trade this right now. There is some resistance coming up. We do need to make sure that Bitcoin holds these specific levels. But on top of all of that, I want to talk about some evidence that we do have institutions buying the dip right now. So if you think they're not, well, we're going to talk about that today, and I'm going to let you know why I think that this bull run is just getting started and we're still on track for $250, maybe even $300,000. So if all that sounds good to you, you know what to do. If you are not subscribed, definitely consider it. And I just want to say also, guys, thank you so much for everyone that has been subscribing. We are up to 197,000 subscribers. This is incredible. We're almost about to hit 200. It's been quite a journey these past 4 years, but you guys are amazing. And if you're new, well, you're going to want to stick around because we do this every single day. You can see right here, hopping into the charts, guys, we have had a nice bounce on the 50 here. We almost retouched it here, and it looks like Bitcoin is having the bounce again. I also showed you in yesterday's video that every time we've had a dump, our first dip down here was around 32%. This next subsequent dip that we had from 58 down to 42 was 26%. And if we do have this bounce right here, you'll notice that that was only about 19%. So what we're seeing is these dips are getting smaller and smaller and smaller while Bitcoin continues to put in higher highs as well as higher lows. So the market structure ultimately is looking quite healthy. Now you can see that we have been in this downwards channel over on futures. So Bitcoin is at a resistance right now on the CME futures chart. Now keep in mind the weekend is happening and we don't have any trading on futures over the weekend. So we could be expecting some crazy price action as long as we can hold above this $53,100 level. I would say that is very good. And also you will notice that we had the support back here and we have caught that. So right now it does look like we're hitting this support, and they're meeting perfectly right here, and Bitcoin could be looking for a break to the upside. So I actually want to point out this chart that I found over on Reddit. Sorry, it is a little bit blurry, but you can see right here, essentially this points out every single time we've had the Bitcoin futures expiration, right? And we did have the biggest options expiring ever in the history of Bitcoin. Up until recently, the highest was only 4 billion. It was 6 billion this time, guys. So this was a historic moment for Bitcoin. And you can see right here, every single time, like clockwork, we do have the sell-off leading into it. And I mean, literally within a few days or so, that represents the pivot. And you can see every single time we have a big blast off. So are we looking for another blast off to the top, potentially to that $65,000 and higher target? Well, as you can see right here, guys, the next resistance that we're going to be hitting is right at this heart line, this center line right here, okay? And if we move up today, that is sitting at around $57,000, okay? So that is for this right here, and that's if we were to go up straight today. But probably the more important level to look at right here is this ascending wedge. Now, we literally perfectly touched my zone. This was the zone that we were waiting for, this blue box territory. I told you for weeks, all right, well, a couple weeks, 2 weeks, about the potential of this level, and I actually had an opportunity to really add to my long-term position there. Hopefully you guys were able to buy the dip as well. If you guys don't actually know how we do this, you can check out my tutorial for Bybit. There is $800 in bonuses, $200 exclusively for CryptoZombie subscribers. If you want to check out the link below, check out the tutorial popping up above. But you can see right here, if we actually get back to this chart, if we can break above this $55,000 level, then we are going to be going back up minimally to the top of this area right here, which is looking at around the $64,000 level. So we could see a new Bitcoin all-time high by the end of next week, right? Now, having a look right here, interestingly enough, Credible Crypto pointed out the bearish divergence that had him concerned a couple weeks ago did play out, giving us a nearly 20% drop from our highs down to 50K. He says now we are seeing hidden bullish divergence pop up on the high time frame right now into the key low 50K region. So we do have the support, and he is saying he is leaning bullish. Actually, I've seen a lot of different people saying that that was it. Who else? I mean, Bob Lucas was talking about it. Bollinger was talking about it, right? So this is what we can expect. Now, let's talk about what's actually happening right now in the background. So we did have a 5% surge, right, from 50 down to almost, we didn't quite get up to 54,000. We got to 53.5, but Bitcoin went against the odds of extended downside declines to match the put options strike price. Now, this is from Bybit. This is some of the data over here, which is near 47,500. Meanwhile, a majority of call options expiring this Friday eyed the $55,000 to $60,000 range. So the general call to put ratio showed that the bulls are in control. Believe it or not, even after this decline, still with bets over Bitcoin price rising, leaning 11% higher than those with negative price outlooks. So that increased the likelihood of Bitcoin spot rate hitting 55,000. A lot of people are looking at 55,000. That is sort of that level where we danced around kind of before, but you could see the Bitcoin options market propelled the spot one higher. Similarly, after January contract expiration, which was around that $4 million level I told you guys about, we did see a massive price surge by more than 100% after that. So getting back to this chart, you know, this could just be the typical option sell-off, future sell-off, and then we do have the big move. And like I said, the fact that we keep putting in higher highs and higher lows, we also have put in a smaller dip each time, right? The dip is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, which means that people are really buying these dips up aggressively, right? So that is something that we definitely have to consider. Now, moving over here, let's talk about what's been going on with outflows. This is something that I always like to pay attention to. According to the latest data from Glassnode, Bitcoin reserves are at an all-time low. Take Coinbase, for example. They are the largest U.S. exchange by volume. The Bitcoin stocks, meaning not like a stock market stock, but the amount of Bitcoin held in their reserves has crashed nearly $8 billion at current prices, or roughly about 150,000 Bitcoin since January. So this is proof right here that people are buying and they're removing the coins from the exchange and they're putting them into cold storage. These are people, we don't know who they are, maybe they're high net worth individuals, but they're looking for long-term storage. Willy Woo, one of my favorite on-chain analysts, he said in his opinion, what's happening is the U.S. institutions, high net worth individuals, are scooping up the available coins from weak hands and locking them up in their long-term hodl positions, their cold storage, right? And I say this time and time again, if you guys follow me, who are you selling your Bitcoin to? Because obviously there's a buyer and there's a seller, right? For every transaction. So when you're selling, that means somebody's buying. Right? There has to be, or else you wouldn't have, or else the trade wouldn't take place. So who is buying it? Well, we'll get to that in just a bit. He does say that he thinks it could be institutional investors. He says Coinbase Bitcoin supply dropping off suggests institutions are buying here. So Is that the case? Well, Byzantine General, he was analyzing some of this over spot, net flow, inflow, outflow, etc. He says, I have a feeling that the news will soon come out that some major player or institution has bought a ton of Bitcoin during this crash. There are signs of major accumulation. In my opinion, there's also pretty much no chance that this was the cycle top. And I'd have to agree with this 100%. Every single time after these dip, there's always someone that comes out and says that they bought, right? We had Sailor, Tesla. There's always a different company, right? Even the smaller guys, right? There was Greg's Pizzeria, right? You're seeing even the smaller guys are getting their hands and putting it on the balance sheet. And like Bitwolf points out, just look at these outflows. Coinbase Pro, 12,388 Bitcoin. Gemini, 2,900. Binance, 1,000, right? This is crazy. Well, here is some evidence for anyone that was wondering. We have the Soros Fund Management CIO, Dawn Fitzpatrick, commenting on cryptocurrency, stating that the fund has been making investments throughout the space. Fitzpatrick revealed in a Bloomberg interview that the fund has invested in crypto exchanges. By the way, this was just yesterday that she came out and said this. Asset managers and custodians, along with other aspects of cryptocurrency's ecosystem. She said, we're at a really important moment in time. Something like Bitcoin may have stayed a fringe asset, but the fact that in the last 12 months, we've increased the fiat money supply by 25%, right? The M1 money supply, they discontinued it. How embarrassing. Borderline criminal, if you ask me. So there is a real fear of debasing of the fiat currencies. Fitzpatrick commented on the sluggish gold market of late, stating Bitcoin may be behind the low volume in gold. I think it actually is. When you look at the gold price action in the context of a fairly robust inflation narrative of late, it struggled getting traction, and I think it's because of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is taking some of the gold buyers' base away. And it's crazy, but I don't have the chart pulled up. Exactly when Michael Saylor announced their first major purchase of Bitcoin as an asset on their balance sheet marked the absolute top for gold, and it literally continued to just go down and down and down since. While although Bitcoin is, yes, having a correction right now, we have seen Bitcoin put in higher highs and higher highs and higher highs pretty much every 2 weeks. 2.5 weeks, we're seeing a new Bitcoin high, right? Which means we could be due for one. In fact, Mike McClone from over at Bloomberg pointed out that Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust is gaining the upper hand over Tesla. Bullish underpinnings for GBTC are gaining legs as it outpaced Tesla by almost 50% this year. The increasing probability for a Bitcoin ETF in the US is supporting the price, but contributing to the Grayscale Bitcoin discount. And right now, I've actually lost track. I've completely lost track of how many ETFs there are that they're trying to file for right now. I think we're upwards of 10. Lots of big players, lots of interest in it for sure. And that's essentially it for me today, guys. So if you are interested, check out the Claim Your Egg thing that they're doing over for Pokemon. It's like Polka Dot Pokemon. This is not like sponsored or anything like that. It's absolutely free. I don't see why you wouldn't want to do this, with the craze that's been going on with these digital collectibles and stuff like that. I've actually claimed my egg right here. You can claim as many as you want, as long as you have a different address. If you go over to MetaMask, you can literally make as many as you want. Check it out, guys. It's literally free outside of the gas, charge. So I would check it out. You never know. You never know what kind of crazy dinosaur you could get. And with some of these prices that these NFTs are selling for, it's kind of a no-brainer for like a $20 gas fee. I actually put my gas fee up a little bit personally, just because I don't like when transactions get stuck. It freaks me out. But check that out, guys. That is it for me. Not much else to say. Things are looking good for Bitcoin. Like I said, we most likely will follow something like this. As long as we're continuing to put in higher highs and higher lows, there's no reason for me to be bearish just because we've been dipping a little bit leading into the options. And if you guys want to know my super bearish take, potential bearish take, then check out yesterday's video right here. I talked about how bad it could be, a brutally honest take on the Bitcoin price. But I'm not looking to get bearish into the weekend, guys. We have to see how this plays out. I have a feeling, though, that may have been the dip. Could we try to fake people out and retest again one more time? It's possible, but I wouldn't be counting on that, guys. These dips are blessings and they're for buying, and we know in hindsight, everybody always kicks themselves and says, damn, I wish I had bought, right? So thank you so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys actually didn't see this thing I had put out, go follow me over on Twitter. I do post on Twitter sometimes, occasionally. You might want to check that out. Things that don't always get into the video. My Twitter handle is at the CryptoZombie, but that's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Be careful of scammers and impersonators in the comments below. It's getting out of hand. YouTube's got to clean up their act. Really, it's getting ridiculous, but thank you for coming back. You guys rock. My name's K-Dub. This is CryptoZombie, and if you haven't seen these videos popping up right here, right now, check them out. And until next time, stay crypto, and of course, peace out.